Tota. I'm a marriage and family therapist coming to you live every Wednesday from Los Angeles, California. For those that are new to the platform, I'm a Palestinian American. Oh, it says no sound. Oh, what? There's no sound? Is there sound now? What is. Let's see. There's no sound. That's a problem. Is there sound now? Still no sound? Of course. Is there sound? Of course.
Now there is.
Is there sound now? We're good?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate. I love our community. Aren't they so nice?
Yes.
We've got the best community. So you guys are so good to me with my Gen X tech problems. You guys are so kind to me. Thank you. Okay, Tayyib. Okay, we're good now. Okay, back in action. All right. So for those that are new to the platform, my name is, thank you. We are, my name is Tiffany Tota. I'm a marriage and family therapist, and I'm a Palestinian American who was born and raised in the United States. Throughout my journey, I have learned a lot about our emotional health and wellness within our cultural context. And about a year and a half ago, thanks to my amazing assistant, Miran, we created Community for International Arab. And it was very important for me to offer some awareness to the younger generation on how to navigate some of the challenging and difficulties that we experience as Arab. We had no idea a year and a half ago where this was going to go. No clue. In fact, I remember telling Mira, if 5 people can have some awareness, discovery, joy in their life, then it was worth it. And now we are over 19,000 community members, Mira.
Yes.
Do you remember, Mira, on the lives we would have like the same 4 people?
I do. I remember.
I'm grateful to you guys.
Yes, and you used to say, and for the lives, you used to say, if one person was helped from this live, like if we helped one person in this live, I'm happy. We're happy. We're on the right track.
That's right. And so many times when you're drawn to like wanting to heal or wanting to discover something about yourself, you're on this live for a reason. Whether you stay for 5 minutes, 2 minutes, or the full hour, it's really that something may be calling to you. Today, we're going to talk about being single in a collective culture, being single in our Arab culture. And so many times you could be single, successful, and still treated like you're behind. And there are so many people who may suffer under that. I hear from the elders that the young people aren't getting married. And I jestfully and lovingly joke back, make it a little more appealing to them, and maybe they would get married. You guys aren't making it look that fun. Anyway. Marriage is a failed institution. Let's see, Sultan. That may be your thoughts and opinions, and I'm sure there's marriages. Oh, Mira, can you please remove this guy? He's already ruining the fun juju of our. Like he's already, it's not even. Is it 8 o'clock yet? Ajul Hadol. Oh my God, I'm in no mood. I'm on vacation. So there will be no Wadih Wednesday, and my patience is really, really low. All right, let's start. Mira, did you delete him? Because I don't want to see his energy in the live.
Can you please do it? Because I'm trying to do it, but I just need to refresh really
I
quick. So
Yeah, no, that's okay, Habibti. I got it.
yeah,
Walak,
oh my
go
God, we
get
don't
healed.
have energy.
Walak,
Yeah,
بدناش morning,
and his
ya
energy
Allah.
is like not even allowing me to delete him. And please, everyone in the comments, if you just see something like that, please help us out. I'm here to do this. I'm here to protect this community and make sure we don't have this energy around. But please
Oh my,
help me out because look at him.
yeah, haram. You know what? I'll give him space for about 2 seconds. You know, Sultan Omar Zareh, whatever your name is, ya haram. You know, this is somebody who's in a lot of pain,
Mm,
right? Because this is anybody that spams like that. Is that the right word? You know, they're in a lot of pain and they want to disrupt and they want to disrupt a good vibe. And we've
yeah.
got a good vibe here. So no fun ruiners. Okay. Oh God, there's another one. Who found me? Who are did the Zionists find me? The Zionists found me.
Oh my gosh.
We have never had this before. Shufti Crystal? A feminine. Okay. All right. This live, I don't know.
Yeah, we need to adjust
Yeah,
this.
he's calling. Well, like, oh my God, what is happening here? This is really crazy. This is really crazy.
For anyone on Instagram that's saying they don't see these comments,
Thank
Tiffany is
God. Thank
yes,
God. Be grateful. One
yes.
be grateful. TikTok's gone bananas. We've
But yeah,
never had this.
we are live.
Oh, they found me. Ya Allah. I thought they found me. It was a matter of time before they were going to sabotage what we're doing.
Oh my God. Yeah, we are live on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So please bear with us. That's why Tiffany may be looking at different cameras.
My God. Okay, too early for this. Okay, maybe let's take a minute because that was a lot of energy on
Mhm.
TikTok. Okay, so we know. Let's just take a minute. Yes, I am Arab. So let's take a minute and just take a deep breath. And I'm going to ask community members that have been a part of the lives to help us hold the space and surround this space to talk about our wellness, our health. For those that are who are single in our Arab culture, perhaps today will give you some solace. It may give you some validation. It may honor your path. And there may be forces and things and energies that may want to keep you from their path, just as the energies that were at the beginning of the live trying to take away what we're trying to do here. And that's always through the light of goodness, compassion, love, kindness. Now, it doesn't mean I put up with anything either. That being kind and loving does not mean you to allow negative energy to impact your space. And especially as a Palestinian American woman, I will never allow anyone to disrupt the healing of our communities ever. And with that, through the light of the Creator, no matter what religion you are, no matter what faith, no matter where you are in our Arab world, we are one. We are one. And that is extremely clear to me. And we support one another in love, in kindness. So thank you. Oh, I could feel the energy. You guys are sealing this live. Thank you, everyone. I needed that. Goodness, goodness, goodness. All right. All right. Yeah, I'm not putting up with it. I'm going to encourage everyone on TikTok because you guys are, don't do it. Not on my platform. Don't think you could see a woman and expect to try and punk me because I'm from the Bay Area and I'm from San Francisco and I grew up like a feral cat. So I will, believe me, and people say ignore them, ignore them. No, no, no. We're at a point in our lives right now. We don't need to ignore toxic, negative bad behavior. What I love about the young people, they are shaming people for their racism, their homophobia, their all these isms. Thank you, young people. It is time we all rise up against these people. What are you trying to do? I'm trying to talk about being single in an Arab culture. Maybe you're so upset with your life that you're going to come here. بقدرش خلاص زهقنا. All right, are we ready? Are we ready? Okay. Whew, too early for
Yes.
that. This is my last live. I need a vacation. خلاص. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For anyone that's asking if Tiffany only answers TikTok comments, no, we're handling all of them. You can ask your questions. Make sure we will be sure that she's gonna see them.
Yeah, please. Instagram into be the saviors of this. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to say anything. All right, let's get started. Thank you, everyone, for holding this space. I love this. Community for International Arab. Today on Wadih Wednesday, we're going to talk about a topic where many of you may experience a silent suffering about being single within our cultural context. Sometimes that emotional weight of being single is not just about loneliness, if that's what you experience. It comes with a lot of shame, guilt, pressure, comparison, fear, and feeling like your worth may be tied to your relationship status. Your worth, as we know, may also is tied to your career. Your worth may be tied to how many children you have. Your worth may be tied. So what I'm trying to help us do here, if you're single, to recognize that how do we help you decouple your worth from these external expectations? And that's very difficult. So for those that are on the live that are single or that were single, how many of you have been asked the question, so when are you going to get married? How many of you have been asked that? You could put a thumbs up emoji, or how many of you have been asked? Okay. How many of you have been asked, when are you getting married? You go to the family gathering, and then you go, it looks like people are saying, yes, when are you going to get married? And this is with men and women. Yes. Someone wrote a lot of times, not just once. And look at somebody wrote, I'm suffering in a marriage. We'll talk about that. Okay. Very good. Now, how many of you have felt like you had to justify being single? How many of you have done that? There's no judgment there. So Auntie corners you or Amo corner. When are you going to get married? What was that phrase, Mita? You said, nifrah fiki, or what was the phrase?
Yes, نفرح فيكي. نفرح بيكي. It's نفرح بيكي.
Oh, okay. See? So we want to be in this. But how many of you felt like you needed to justify being single? So did you find yourself like, well, Auntie, I haven't found anybody, and you're stumbling over your words, or yeah, I am, as Sarah wrote, every time. Yeah, that's very normal. Defending your actions. Oriental Frog wrote, Arkbalik. Yep. Yes, someone wrote, I'm avoiding going home for Eid because of that. Yes. And so let's ask another reflective question. What's harder, being single or dealing with everyone's opinion about it? Now, take a minute before you answer this for yourself. Is being single, and it may be being single is hard for you, or is it dealing with everyone's opinion? Any thoughts on that? Okay, the question is, what's harder, being single or everyone's opinion? Yeah, it looks like dealing with everyone's opinion. Yeah, I love that. Maha, she writes, the expectations, the performing, dealing with everyone's opinion is hard. And thank you for those of you that are sharing that, because that was the expectation of marriage and worth. The opinions are the worst. That's right. So if you can start to decouple that for yourself, that for you being single is okay. It's the opinions, and not just opinions. It's the onslaught of opinions. So you have to give yourself a break, that it's not just one person's opinion. There may be 50 people at the family party, and for your nervous system, you're like, I'm comfortable, I'm feeling good, I'm going into this wedding or this family gathering, I'm feeling good about myself. And then the opinions. Imagine it's like a slap in your face to your nervous system. And it's very jarring. Do you guys hear that? It's very jarring to the nervous system. Even if you have confidence in you being single, that constant nicking can take a toll on your body. So be aware of that. So good. That's one way to decouple. I'm okay with being single. It's everyone's opinion. So what's happening for you that everyone's opinion is causing you so much distress? So let's talk about that. Everyone knows as Arab, our identity is often tied to our family roles, our community expectations, our social milestones. So, and one of the social milestones is what, guys? Marriage. So, being single is rarely viewed as a personal relationship. It's more treated as a social problem, family concern, or even a moral issue for some of you. So, do you guys hear that? So now you being single is now a problem. You being single is not the problem. But within our Arab culture, your singlehood is seen as a problem. Do you guys see that distinction? Because you're a sovereign person. You came into this world as one, right? So who you are is fine. You being single is not the problem. It's our society seeing it as a problem. So what do we do with that? So I say this all the time, right? Our family's reputation, your parents' status, a lot of times is seen that all their children are married, all their children, not only are all their children married, but all their children are married to the right people, right? And your decision in not getting married, if you decide, or if you haven't found your person yet, or maybe you found your person, but the family is vehemently against that person, that's a whole other topic. That your decision to be single or to stay single affects the whole family. Because if you think you're hearing other people's opinions, now your mom and your dad have to hear everybody's opinion. So it travels downwards. I'm not saying it's okay, but it's to recognize also that your parents may not even put pressure on you. My parents didn't put pressure on me to get married. There was a societal expectation to get married, yet it still impacted them, my decision to wait. We also know that belonging and loyalty are emphasized. A lot of times they see, particularly for women, I don't know if that's true nowadays, but you have to remember a lot of this in when I was younger, a woman, like you being married was you being taken care of. And so they didn't necessarily think we could take care of ourselves, but that being married will help with that. Now, which leads to marriage is often viewed as stability. Isn't that funny? How many toxic marriages, Arab marriages are there? And they say, oh, it's stable. I don't know how stable it is. That it's a sign of maturity, honor, or success. Okay. Any questions on that? Anybody have any thoughts about that? So now you can see why. Now you can see why. Now, it's really important for all of you to understand, if you are single, that in Arab societal systems, marriage is not just about companionship. It represents social legitimacy. Is that true, Mira, in Egypt? as well, like in other countries. I know here in the US, it functions a little bit differently, but your social legitimacy is coming from the marriage, the binding of families,
Right.
or right? Is that true abroad as well?
Yes. 100%.
Okay. Now, I would love to hear from those that are listening. What are some common messages you received in making the decision to stay single, or uh, what are some common things you would hear? You're too picky. These are some I was thinking about. Good people get married. So in you being single, now you're no longer a good person because that's a social problem, right? Good people get married. You're running out of time. My teta I was 34, I think, when I got married. And my teta would say, yay, teta, yalla, yalla. She would start screaming, right? And I said, teta, you're running out of time, teta. I said, yeah, you're telling me I'm running out of time? Uh, what will people think? What else did you guys hear? Any comments? Let's see, I love this one. Who is going to take care of you when you grow up? I always tell people, you're not guaranteed that your children are going to be there for you. Let's see. If I tone myself down, I'll find a man. Oh my God. Tone yourself down, ladies. Islam, they'll want you. I love it. People your age are married and raising kids. Yes, that's a real good one. Very good. Your parents, how many of them said, your parents deserve grandchildren? I need grandchildren. How are you going to rob me of having grandchildren? Okay. How many of you also heard, and this is the last one because I could go on and on and on, you're selfish for focusing on your career or self-growth. So you remember think about these common messages and how did they impact you? So what messages, again, how are they impacting you? So think about now, rationally, you're moving in a space and you're doing fine. Emotionally, now tune into your body. What may you be holding in that? Yeah, I'm focusing on my career, yet the emotional part of me is saying, I'm failing my parents. I'm now seen as a problem. My ability to belong within our cultural context, because you're almost like the leper at the family wedding. There goes the single one, or maybe there's a group of single people. And Mita and I, before the live, we were talking about at what age did you start feeling the pressure? Now, there's generational differences. For my generation, probably around 19 or 20. If you weren't married by 23 or 24, that was, let's see, people are writing 20, 22, 23. Yeah, that tracks, Mita, right? 23 for, right? But then if you're like studying to be a doctor or a lawyer, they give you a hall pass. What was that
Yes.
phrase?
Because فيها اللي مكفيها.
Say that again.
فيها اللي مكفيها.
So they know how to not give pressure when you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, or right?
Yes.
Yet they know how to but then the pressure is on after that. But they know how to slow it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see that? You see how complicated it is? All right. So let's now go. So why is it that singleness gets treated as a problem? Now, somebody wrote religion in the comments, somebody, our survival. There's a plethora of reasons why singleness was treated as a problem. Because again, we're looking at very old systems, very archaic systems. Now, I recognize in some countries, Uh, there is, I'm speaking from a level of privilege here in the United States. We have the luxury, so I want to be sensitive to that. Yet, for the most part, it's important for us to recognize that in areas where there's the survival is not there, can we shift our perspective and not seeing singleness as a problem to solve? Do you guys hear that? I hope I said that well. If I didn't, call me out. Okay. So in many of our culture and our singleness is treated like your life is less valid. How many of you felt that way? That your life is less worthy because you're not married? And everyone wants to try and fix it by setting you up with somebody, setting you up with even your own relatives, like close relatives. And then here's, this guy or gal you've been, growing up with. They're like, okay, time for you two to get married. And you're like, oh my gosh, they're like my brother. People may respond to the single person with, concern, right? Have you guys ever had that look of concern? They give you advice, tone it down. Maybe it was one of them. Feeling the pressure, they would have pity upon you, pity upon your family, pity upon kul ailtek and your lineage. That's how deep this goes. And then you may constantly, and then the peppering of questions, right? So this dynamic can sound like, what's wrong with you? Why hasn't it happened yet? So maybe you want to get married. Maybe you want to be in partnership. Then these pressures, the looks, you start to absorb some of that with, what's wrong with me? Why hasn't it happened yet? I just need to try harder. Maybe if I was quieter, maybe I would have a man. Don't wait too long. My clock is ticking. Sorry, my cousin distracted me. What did my teta do? She tried to marry me, my first. Well, she tried to marry you off to my own brother, Oskuti. Okay, stop interrupting me. Oh my God. Yeah, this is a perfect example. So underneath all those comments that you have is often the belief in adulthood that somehow you're unstable, you're immature, you're unhappy when you have unless you fully achieve partnership. Do you guys hear that? I'm not happy because I'm not married. And that may not be true, but when the culture, the family, the pressure constantly puts that on you, you may start to believe that. Or there may be this part of you that starts to absorb that. And I'm going to encourage you to be really, really careful when you decouple the single messaging to recognize, to catch it sooner. Did that make sense, Mita? Did you guys hear that?
Can you say it again? Yeah, can you please repeat it?
Okay, many of you rationally know that being single, you may be okay with. Yet, when the messaging that you receive is this constant bombardment, you may be absorbing some of those messages, which can manifest into core belief that something is wrong with me. I am a failure. Why hasn't it happened? So you have to remember that we are all connected as a family. And even though, and trying to separate ourselves from what our family expects from us is hard. It's very hard. So when you start to tell yourself, what's wrong with me? I should be married. Why hasn't it happened yet? I need you to stop yourself, take a deep breath, and say, is this, yeah, maybe I want to get married, but do I have to internalize it in that way? Okay. So psychologically, and many of us already struggle with this chronic self-doubt. So even if you met somebody How many times have I heard these stories? You meet somebody, you feel aligned, you feel good, you feel great. You're like, I think I'm going to do this. And then what happens? Mom or dad or auntie, somebody doesn't like that person, then they start instilling all this doubt. And so then you may not make a decision. You may feel stuck because psychologically you have this chronic self-doubt about yourself. And it's hard to make this lifelong decision. You may feel, I hear this a lot. Oh my gosh, please be kind to yourself. I had a 19-year-old reach out to me and he said, I'm 19 and I'm so behind in life. So you may feel like you're 24, 25 and you're not married, or you're 30 or 35. I'm behind in life. I don't even know what that means. If you're living, you're not behind in life. You're living. There's no behind. Okay? And so, but yet the culture, if you're 20, because you guys gave this window, 22, 23, outside of that, you may feel, oh my God, I'm behind. I know all my cousins were married. They had all the kids. And while I didn't necessarily feel like I was behind in life, there were moments where I felt like, oh, am I doing this right? Now, doing it right, I wasn't doing it right for them, but you question yourself, and that's very normal. You may have shame around your own independence because we come from a collective culture. You being independent or you doing your own thing, and you may be loving it. Being single can be very delicious. It's delicious because بتريح الراس, okay? So and you may have some shame around living a full, joyous life. Don't do that. Try not to do that. There's no joy in living a happy, content, peaceful, single life, but you may have some shame around that. How many of you have felt anxiety around family gatherings? I think Hada wrote going to Eid, right? Just going home, you start to rush because you're going into a family gathering single again. And be like, إيش مالك? شو صار? تعال شوف بنت هالة تعال شوفها. Or your uncles, إيش مالك? Or for the girls, same thing. You're getting old. Your beauty is going to fade. So this is where many of you might have this hypervigilance around age and timelines. I need to be married by this. I need to do this by this time. I'm behind. And then what happens when you have all that anxiety and you're hyper fixated on that? What do we know? What you resist persists. So the more you resist not being married, guess what? What comes back is more resistance to getting married. Okay. Oh, this is a big one. Pressure to stay in unhealthy relationships just to avoid being alone. Listen, I know we come from a cultural context that you may take the path of least resistance and just marry someone for the sake of your family. Fine. If you're going to do that, and I get it, and I'm not mad at it, choose wisely. Like really invest in the process and choose wisely. Because if they're going to force you to get married, you want to make sure that you make the best decision possible and trusting your instincts there. Because what will happen is you may marry, what did my teta tell me? GBA ishi teta. اي اشي بس اي اشي هيك واحد من الحارة تعال okay تعال اتجوزني so everyone will be happy. And guess what? I did. And so, and then you stay in an unhealthy relationship, you stay in your marriage a lot longer because you want to avoid being alone. And you suffer. So all I'm going to encourage you is choose wisely if you're going to do that. There could be a lot of grief and sadness many of you are feeling because you're unseen outside of your marital status. So you can have master's degrees, you can have a successful business, You can have, oh gosh, you could be accomplished in so many other ways through your volunteer work, your anything, your musicianship. And yet, unless you're married, they don't see that. I remember I had gotten my second my poor teta, Allah yarhamha, but this is where I'm trying to, if this is you, I'm trying to give you life examples. I received my second master's degree and I was, I think, 24 years old. And I said, Teta, I got my master's. She goes, what? Bidna master's degree. Bidna husband, she said. And I remember feeling so crushed in that moment. I know it wasn't her fault. That's just how she was raised. But in that moment, I had worked so hard to achieve what I achieved. And yet it was completely dismissed because I wasn't married. Now, many of you may have a similar experience with this. And try not to move away from the grief and the sadness. It's hard because that child in you that wants to be seen. And here's another example of maybe you failing the culture. And so let's acknowledge that grief. Now, one thing within our cultural context that's so important is there are a lot of reasons why people are single. And it erases the reality that people may be single because they may be healing from a past relationship. There may be, now I'm not addressing it in this live. I told Mita it's too much, but if you had sex before marriage with a guy, I'm talking to the women here because I think it functions differently with the men, and your virginity was taken, there's a whole psychology behind that. You may be healing from that past relationship, and there may be so many layers for you that you have to work through that you may not want to open yourself up to, because you may feel shame for losing your virginity or having sex before marriage. And so what people fail to understand within our cultural context is people have lots of reasons. They may have lost their one true love and they need time to heal. They may prioritize emotional safety. So maybe you're suffering with bouts of significant depression or anxiety, and now they're asking you, here, go marry and function when you are not feeling emotionally safe to yourself. And now you got to be present to the husband or the wife, and then you got to be present to these kids that they're demanding from you on top of everything else. So you may say, I'm not going to get married because I want to prioritize my emotional safety or even your physical health. You may focus on career or your own purpose. Newsflash, people in the Arab world, there are a lot of people who don't want to get married. Not because they want to go against you or maybe within them, there are people who have no interest in that. They have no interest in having children. That does not mean they're bad. It just means that it doesn't call to them. Yet the amount of shaming that goes to that is too much, and I'm hoping we can change that. So also, what Arab parents fail to understand is the amount of caregiving responsibilities that's imposed on the children. So now you want me to take care of you. You want me to have my career. Then you want me to have time left in my body and my energy to go and meet someone and have a relationship. When is time to do these things? When you're being split with so many demands. And getting into partnership requires a level of connectedness and presence if you want to make a very nice decision. But when you're so burnt out and then you get married and you're already fried and burnt out, well, you wonder why marriages suffer. The other one, which I talk about, is queer identity in restrictive environments. Guess what? you may have a partner and you have a very nice relationship with your partner, yet we come from a culture that's so profoundly restrictive in that way that they would be married, they would be in partnership, they would be following all the values that were instilled, yet because of this restrictive environment, for a lot of reasons I won't get into on this live, they are forced to not be married in your way. Now, there may be, I love the younger generation for this. You guys may overcorrect a little bit, but I love this direction for you guys. You want partnership, but you're refusing to settle. Nothing wrong with that. Where I see the overcorrection, if I can gently, that the frustration tolerance, a guy can do one thing and khalas, out, or a gal can do one thing, khalas, she's out, that we've almost, this refusing to settle has taken us to a point where we're refusing to tolerate some very normal things in a partnership. So an important reframe that I really want all of you to take in is singleness is not a failure of adulthood. It is a relationship status. And it is not a measure of your worth, lovability, success, maturity, or emotional health. Do you guys hear that? You're single. You are not a failure in adulthood if you're single. Okay? How are we doing? How are we doing? I'm Shwaya tired. Can you read some of that took a lot from me, and I want to acknowledge that it took a lot from me because I know so many of you are suffering with this. I don't know why I'm emotional. I told you I'm ready for some time off. I know I could feel the pain, that how much shame people hold for being single when I listed so many reasons why you might be single. And those reasons are okay because they're okay for you. Yet we come from a culture with no compassion, no empathy, no curiosity. Forget compassion and empathy in Suhada. What about curiosity? That if your sister or brother or cousin or your 50-year-old aunt or 60-year-old aunt who's not married, maybe there are reasons for that. Maybe that person was sexually abused and there's no space for her to talk about her trauma. And yet she's going to be shunned and called a spinster, or kull al-haki that the Arab give her, and shame her when she's suffering in silence. She can't say what happened to her. Or the beautiful gay man who has so much kindness and love and doesn't want to get married because he doesn't want to marry a woman, and he's kind and he's suffering in silence because no one is curious enough to ask or shun him because he's gay. Why are we doing this as a society? And yet we espouse God and religion and all this, yet the lack of kindness and empathy that we give towards one another because of these limiting beliefs around marriage. More people would marry if the parents would just leave people alone. Leave your kids alone. Let them trust that they can make their own decisions. And if your son or daughter does not want to get married, you tell that biddy in the corner trying to shame you or shame your daughter or son, you could say, Lulati harriyan, they are free to do what they want. That's how you stand up as an Arab parent. That's how you break generational cycles. That's how we shift this, by calling these people out and saying, I'm not going to shame my child because they're not married. That's not a reflection of who they are. They're a beautiful, loving, kind person. More often than not, the single one in the family is doing everything for everyone else. yet they're going to be shamed because they're not married at a certain age, or they had kids too late, or no stable career, or like they have a stable career and then somehow that a stable career to support financially the family, but they're shunned because of that. What are we doing? What are we doing as a society? How does it, I would like somebody to tell me how that makes sense. And so if you fall outside of the timelines of when you're supposed to get married, you may start to feel panic and shame and grief and compare yourself. Oh, look at my cousins. I'm going to really encourage you, look at your actual life. Like take a minute, write it down. Look at your actual, how meaningful is it to you outside of that? And if you have a meaningful life that's aligned with your values, please start to decouple that messaging from who you are. There's no urgency. There's no urgency. It's your timeline. I spoke to a man yesterday. He was, gosh, he must be in his 60s. And he told me he was getting engaged to a woman he absolutely loved. And I said, that's wonderful. You found your person. He goes, it's the best thing ever. I said, well, what if you met her 10 years ago? He goes, I wasn't the same man. So remember, it's on your timeline. And find that internal calm, because when you're rushing to make this major decision or they make it for you, you may suffer. So the more you can ground, and I get that familial pressure, just remember to make a mindful decision. Maybe you take some agency. Maybe the one guy in your community, you're like, oh God, he's the best of the worst, right? And I know Western therapists would flip out if I said that, but sometimes we have to do what we need to do for survival. I don't encourage that. That's why I'm doing this platform, so we could change that, so nobody has to be in those double bind positions. The other piece is don't compare yourself to all the cousins that are married with their kids. If you're feeling immature, defective, get evidence. You're probably not. If anything, you'll find evidence of the contrary. You may have difficulty enjoying your own milestones as a single person. And also, this is another thing that happens. I don't know what it is about Arab families think that single people aren't busy. Like I had to, like somehow the married ones with the kids, right? There's a legitimate reason, but if you're single, they seem to forget that you're busy too. And they may tend to put more pressure on the single person to do all the things. And I'm like, what, like they have a life too. Like what, just because they're single, but that's another way to shame or not respect their time. So before we get to comments, I want to leave you with a few things. Delayed does not mean failed. Some people marry early and they feel trapped. I think somebody wrote that in the comments. Absolutely love that. They're like, I'm married and I'm feeling like a failure and trapped. So try not to get seduced into the social media, the hello photos. I always say here's a tidbit that therapists we have. The more the couple posts about how wonderful their life is, we make estimates that within a few months, they will be divorced or break up. So If you have to constantly put out how wonderful your relationship is, it may be indicative of what you may be hiding. So don't get seduced into that. Okay. Try not to. People marry late, and if it feels deeply aligned, that's wonderful. Some people never marry. Newsflash, some people never marry and still build a full life, connected with friends, connected with so much abundance. And I would rather have you focus on being emotionally ready than social timing. Because if you don't have communication skills, emotional regulation skills, decision making skills, I'm talking the basics, I'm not talking, and then you rush to get married and expect to have another human being that lacks communication skills, lacks emotional regulation skills, lacks an ability for distress tolerance, and you think that's going to make it in the marriage. And then on top of that, they're not interested in reading a book, going to therapy, doing things to get the skills. It doesn't work like that. Marriage is a tough business. And with that said, as a divorced woman, I can say, when you marry the right person, it's wonderful. Wonderful. To build a life with someone is wonderful. Yet I would want each of you to be ready to experience that deliciousness, but you can't experience that if you aren't emotionally ready. And there's no age for that. Some of you are emotionally ready at different times. So whose timeline are you trying to meet? And be curious, what happens if you being single, your life unfolds differently than what was expected? That maybe on your timeline, that person that you may want is there. But yet when we're shame, guilt, you may be missing the right person right in front of you. And then you may have the right person that's different aile, different religion, different absar shul, different culture. And then the parents are like, no, you can't marry. And then people never marry after that. And so I'm going to leave you with this. If nobody judged you, what pace would actually feel right for your life? Okay. Okay. I have a whole other section. Maybe we do a part 2, Mita. I didn't even get through half of this.
Yeah. Okay. I totally agree. I can't believe it. You really nailed so many comments. Like literally, the comment is written before you read it. You're talking about it. You nailed it. It's amazing how it's very repeated. Like repeated. Like a lot of the things that you're talking about are the same things that happens with everyone. It's just like everyone repeats the same cycle. Nobody's able to break it.
Well, we are.
Yes.
Everyone on this live is going to take their efforts.
Yes.
We are. We're speaking on it. We can't change things if we don't speak on it, and we keep it hidden. And kul wahad on the live, wana وانتي, and we're all like suffering in silence. كيف يعني? كيف بدنا نتغير? How are we going to change if we don't talk about these things?
Yes.
And acknowledge that when it comes to being single, it's not a disease. And if you want to be if you want to be married, and that's in alignment with your timeline, all I'm encouraging you to do is take a step back and allow the timeline to unfold. But when you have 50 people constantly barraging you, it's normal to feel disoriented. So I'm encouraging reorient to your path. And that takes a lot of effort within our cultural context because there's no space. They don't give you space to think.
Mhm.
So you have to find your own space. No one's going to rescue you. No one's going to save you. The perfect husband or wife or partner is not just going to come in summer and be like, here. You have to do the work around that.
Yeah.
Maybe it does. I've seen people say, oh, I just met him at the coffee shop. I go, oh, mahlaki. It happens.
Yeah.
And then she usually treats him like shit and doesn't even appreciate what she has, right? And it's like, okay, here we go. Emotional readiness. Because you
Yeah.
could be, if you're not emotionally ready, he could be the best thing for you, or she could be the best thing for you. They could be the best thing for you. And if you're not emotionally ready, you're going to sabotage it. You're not going to appreciate it.
That's right. And Coach Sigma on TikTok, she said, first thing you have to fix your childhood problems before seeking relationships.
That's a complicated one. I'm not going to disagree. However, there's some childhood things that uh, will never be fixed. They're just the damage is just there, and it's how do you find acceptance? I would say first, it may be important to accept your childhood and what you went through, and that is a harsh reality that you may have to accept that there may be limitations within you. Doesn't mean you can't overcome them. I like to operate more from not fixing because we're not broken. We could feel broken, but our soul, our being, who we are, is not broken. And so I will say it takes time and reflection and awareness and to do some work on what are the impacts of your childhood and how they show up in your relationship. And so you may be indirectly projecting your abandonment, your rejection onto your partner. And this poor person, they're just like, I'm just trying to love you. But if you don't have that ability to take in that love, that makes it very, very difficult. All right. My cousin chiming in again. ولا تروحي على الكافي شوب اتجوزي وخلصيني. Love you, Pam. I love my cousins. You got to have good cousins to support you through this. I got to tell you. Otherwise, it's too hard to do it alone. And I have amazing cousins. Okay, let's see. Some, not all. Okay, let's see. Mira, can we? I'm getting punchy. I'm getting tired. What is? and if you're the cousin, if you think it's you, it just might be. They watch my live sneaky. They do. They won't acknowledge, but they watch sneaky.
Yeah.
Hey, بنت هلدا شوفوا شو بتسوي على online telling the people single. You know what this life's going to get interpreted as. I'm saying that don't get married. That's how this is going to be.
Oh my God. Yeah, but for the right people, they will understand exactly what we were talking about. And like you said, that's exactly like the reason why we're doing what we're doing is because here are the cycle breakers. Like here are the people that are gonna shift this.
Yes, totally. Any comments, Mita, before we wrap up? Like anything that if you want to share? I see a lot of comments on anybody.
Yeah, you addressed a lot of the things, and some of them are really sad. Like for example, Hells said people look at me like they feel bad and sad for me, and it makes me feel so small, and they don't believe you when you tell them you don't think marriage is for you.
Oh, well, and I gently that that's not a good response to Arab people because you're defending yourself. So what happens when you defend yourself?
They go more, they do more.
More.
Mm.
They're going to shame you more. So find your phrases. Anybody have good phrases? I'm very dramatic. When I was younger, I was highly obnoxious. I don't recommend it. But I would go, Auntie Yaret, Rab, he would bring me wahad, please, Auntie. Yay! I would do that kind of stuff.
Mm.
Don't be me. I was so, oh my God. It was because of my own insecurities that I would respond in that way, right? Because I was so shamed. Don't do that. Don't defend yourself. Just you can gently nod. I mean, everybody has different personalities, so I'm not here to tell you how to be, but the moment you defend yourself, that's ammunition. They're going to take it and run with it. So try not to do that. What was her name? Hells?
Yes.
Habibti, if you're still on the live, you're beautiful as you are. You don't need to defend. Stay grounded in this is your place in life. You're exactly where you need to be, and trust that everything will unfold as you start to call your awareness back to you, your healing, your capacity to move through these difficult conversations. And as you start to empower yourself by gently nodding and not giving them any energy around this for you, little by little, you will continue to stand tall and stand in your truth, and you'll be okay. You are okay. Okay? TikTok's telling me, Khalas, get off this. TikTok is upset with
Yeah.
me.
Can I just read this one comment real quick?
Tayyib.
Ram said, "It's a dream for me to hear. It's my dream for me to hear these words like these from my mom."
Oh. Oh, you guys are making me, I'm so weepy. Sometimes your mom she didn't have the words. Habibti. Sometimes she didn't have the words to be able to tell you that because that would require her to do the work. And for a lot of our parents, I don't know how old your mom is, we didn't have this language. We didn't have any of this. And maybe she wants to tell you this, but her own fears come in, her own shame comes in because someone's shaming her. It gets complicated. And maybe she will. Or maybe your mom's the personality type. She will never tell you these things. And that's why we need more voices to tell you these things. Because if you can't hear it from mom, can you at least hear it from another elder?
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
All right. Whew. All right. That was
I think we need to do a part 2, right?
yeah. Do people want a part 2? I have so much. I only got through a quarter of what I wanted to talk about today. Do people want a part 2? Was this meaningful to people?
We received many comments saying this. Yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So after I come back from vacation, I will do a part 2. And as we end every live, nawar titnawar, the light in me sees the light in you. We are so blessed to be on this journey with you. Together, we will uplift ourselves. We will embrace singledom. And I will see you in 2 weeks. Wishing you all the very best. Have a wonderful evening, day, wherever you are in the world. Shine your light. Take care, everyone.